Hello everybody, Phil's Art again. Thanks for tuning in. I want to think about sizing today. Watercolour paper has a size on it. Here, as you can see, a drawing that I started. But this watercolour paper has lost its size. And I'll show you, I'm sure a lot of you know, but I'll show you what happens regarding that. I wanted to do a portrait of this chap. I'll show you what I did of that one. And Benedict Cumberbatch, he plays the Sherlock Holmes person. And so that's the watercolour I ended up in doing. And this is good watercolour paper, and I use this an awful lot. It's actually a mixed medium, and I use this an awful lot. But I tried to use this watercolour paper, and it was quite expensive watercolour paper. And I've discovered with this particular brand, it does lose its size quite easily. And I started to do I did the drawing, as you can see, with a rough pencil, just to get the outline of the face, which in actual fact I got reasonably accurately. And then I started to put watercolour on the paper. And here's my palette. So let's just do something, shall we? Let's try and put some watercolour on there, and you'll see it literally soaks right the way through. There you are, I've got that. So there, I'm going to try and put it on here now. Look at that. You can't do anything with it. You can't wash it. It's literally soaked. It's like blotting paper. And sad to say, this is quite an expensive paper, but I have discovered this particular brand. This happens with this particular brand. I often use blocking for watercolour paper, and that is fantastic. That is, I don't think I've ever had the size lose on blocking watercolour paper, but it's lost on this one. And what I decided to do, I decided to see if I could renew the size. And the way you do that is you use this gelatin, and you get it from a supermarket. And here's the one that I use, and I experimented, and I cut the paper in half, and here is the other bit paper, and I covered it with this, and I'll show you how I did that. You mix it up with some warm water, and then you get a brush and you brush it on. This particular watercolour paper is this here, and I discovered that you can, using gelatine, you can renew the size, and you can renew it quite well. And in actual fact, after I renewed the size on this paper, I found it better than the new sheets that I got. The only problem is with this particular watercolour paper, when you resize it, it does bubble up along the edge here. I don't know whether you can see that. It does bubble along, and I gave that one coat to see what it was, to see how good it was, or how successful it was. I did two pieces of paper. This one, which I haven't put anything on, and this one. And this is the painting I did. Exactly the same as this watercolour paper here, but with this gelatine on, just one coat. And I discovered that it really does work very well indeed. You can see how the edge has bubbled up a little bit. And so I experimented, and I did this watercolour of a gypsy chap, and round the area here, and it worked out quite well. Well, in actual fact, it worked out very well indeed, and I've discovered, as I say, that this watercolour paper, that the size loses very quickly, very expensive. If it's gelatined, resized, it produces some good watercolour paper. And that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it up This has not been sized at all. This has not been gelatined at all. I'll prove that. I'll do another bit. I'll just do it on this corner here. And you can see it's completely gone. Can't do anything with it. Hopeless, look at it. Completely hopeless. So it has lost its size. So I'm now going to get everything ready to mix this up and to coat this, and then we'll do a watercolour on this particular piece after I've given it just one coat and see how effective it is. As I say, when I did it with it the last time with this one, it was very effective. So okay, so I'll close up now, get everything ready, and we'll carry on sizing this particular watercolour paper. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Well, I've got a bowl here. I've got a bit of a stirring stick. I think that came from some coffee I had somewhere. Anyway, that's that. I have got some warm water. It's quite warm, but not boiling. It's got to be reasonable. You can put your hand in, and it's reasonably comfortable. There's about 5 fluid ounces actually. 5 fluid ounces of water in this particular jug. I can't tip it up to show you because the markings is down there. And it's 5 fluid ounces. Here's the gelatine that I have used. And I'm going to pour, I probably used nearly half the packet of this one on the last time. So I'll do the same. Better to be safe than sorry. So there's half the packet of gelatin, and that's what it looks like. And now you've literally got to now mix it up with the water, and I'm going to put all this water in here and mix the gelatin up. Here you are, and there it is. I'll put the bowl over there, and then it's just a matter of mixing up, which takes quite a long time. Okay, that's mixed up fairly well. It took probably about 2 or 3 minutes to mix it up, so not too long. I don't know whether you can see that, but there is I'll see if I can lift it up. There is a slight yellowy tint to the water, or to the gelatin. And now what you simply do is give it a good coat with a soft brush. I've got my hake brush, a 3-inch hake brush, and I am going to cover this very, very well. You don't skimp at all, you put a load on. A bit like wallpapering. Anybody that's done wallpapering, you put wallpaper paste on wallpaper, it has to be lagged on, as we would say. Otherwise you're wasting your time. So get the brush, see if you can see it, get the brush and literally pour it on. Pour it on. And as you can see how bad the size, lack of size there is. You can see the little spots that are coming along. As I say, this watercolour paper, I think, is atrocious. Funnily enough, I've looked at other people that have tried this watercolour paper, and they've all said how wonderful it is. Well, it loses its size very, very quickly indeed. So I'm just putting that along there like so. As you can see, it bubbles up. There's little bits of spots here, which I presume the size has not. It hasn't lost a little bit here. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I'll do the whole lot as well of the paper. I'll do the whole lot. I know I've started with this one here, but we'll have a look. Let's just ever put that over there. I'll carry on with this as well. You never know, I might be able to salvage it. But that's quite amazing, little spots that come along. So I'm going to tip the rest on, and that's it. And you can see the spots where the size was okay on some parts of it, but you can see how it's literally deteriorated all the way along. Incredible. So we'll see if this does work. Now I'm going to just let that dry now, and I'll see you later when it's dry. Okay folks, we're back again. If you remember, we resized the watercolour paper using gelatin. That's what we used, if you remember, and I used this Ochre brush to paint on it. One thing I forgot to mention was it is very sticky, this gelatin, and therefore you do need to wash the brush out after you've done it, which I did, but I can still feel some of the hairs there. You know, it's still quite sticky. Well, it isn't sticky, it's dried now, but that you need to remember that it is very, very sticky. It does work, and I'll just prove this to you in a minute. If you remember, and we stirred it up with this little stir up, if you can remember, and that's what we did. And it does actually work. It does resize the paper. Now then, let's just have a look at the paper, and I'm using this, and straight away, there's the paper, and straight away you can see, I hope you can see, it becomes, this is £140 paper, but straight away it becomes a lot thicker almost. And it also does bubble up. You can see that. It does bubble up quite badly. And the way around that is, once it's dry, and it took about 24 hours for this gelatin to dry on this watercolour paper. Once it's dry, then the best thing to do is to wet it again and lie it flat on a surface with some weights on it, and that will help. But anyway, let's have a look at this, and I'll just show you the brush. I'll get a brush, get some water, and let's just have a look to prove to you that it has actually worked. But as I say, the problem with it all is it does bubble up terrific, and it becomes almost like a drum. Anyway, let's do some water on here. I'll just put, if you remember, it just literally soaked in. So let's just try some over here, shall we? Straight away you can see. Such a massive difference. Massive difference, you can see it. I'll just put a bit here. Massive difference. It's remarkable. It does actually work, and in actual fact, apart from the bubbles, I find it better regarding watercolour than when it's not been not had any gelatin on it. But so it does actually work. This paper that I mentioned, it is expensive paper. It's lost its size terrifically, so much so that when we painted with it the gelatin, I don't know whether if you remember, it literally soaked in like blotting paper, so much so that the back became saturated too. And you can see it's like a drum. So it does actually work. Sorry about that. I've got to be careful with that. So it does actually work. and it's worth a try if you've got watercolour paper that has lost its size. But bear that in mind, it just bubble all up. But you can see, look at how that's now lovely running all over the place. So what we're going to do, I'll put that to one side. I've got another piece here, and again this is had this lost its size again, but you can see how it's almost like a drum. It's become like a drum, but you can see the bubbles there. So what I'm going to do is I've drawn just a picture of a lion, and I'm just going to do a watercolour on this paper that lost its size, and we painted gelatine on it and see how effective it actually is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the paint in over there, and I'm going to alter the camera. I'm going to close the camera off, and then we're going to alter the camera, and I'll do start the watercolour. Okay, let's start and put some watercolour on this, see how successful it is been. Okay, so let's just have a look, and a bit stronger I think. Yes, as you can see, it really has done the trick. The water's running down. Just put a little bit there. Bit there. Up there. Down we go there. Rightly or wrongly, I do a little bit of lifting, and this is why for me, siding is so important. And a little bit there. Okie dokie, let's carry on. Go down there. As you can see, it's completely completely done the trick. You can see how the beads run round. It really is excellent the way this gelatin works regarding these regarding the watercolour. Just carry on, and what I'll do now is I won't say anything. I'll just fast forward as we go along as I paint this this lion, to prove that it actually does work regarding the gelatin. So okie dokie, now we'll carry on fast forwarding. Okay, that's about it, I think. Well, it's proved, I think, the point that this paper does actually work. Putting the gelatin on the paper does actually work, and you can reuse it. You saw how it was before. And okay, my lion, the water, it ran very well, so I'm going to leave it at that. But this proved the point that that if you put gelatin on it, you can reuse the watercolour paper again. So thank you very much for watching, and if you found this useful, please subscribe and pass it on to some of your friends, and see you later, and carry on painting. Cheers, Phil.